Hey everyone, welcome to Canopy Cafe. Today, El Shaddai and Alex, who's the one talking, are going to be hosting it. And we're talking to Kathy Miller from Miller Consultants. And Miller Consultants is actually a letter of intent company for the Canopy Certified program. And also, Kathy Miller has helped us a lot in just developing different pieces of the CCP and just being a good friend of Canopy for quite a long time now. So, Kathy, if you want to go ahead and come on so we can see your face.
Hi.
Hey, Kathy. How are you?
Hi. Good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you too. How are things?
Pretty good, actually. I'm one of the lucky ones. My life is okay right now.
Good. That's good to hear. How is Miller Consultants holding up and adapting with everything?
Actually, it's been okay. I mean, again, I feel incredibly grateful. Um, we've been operating virtually for many, many, many years. I mean, for 20 years probably, even before we had Zoom and all these other cool things that we could use. So it's not that different for us. It's not, I haven't had a learning curve, very much of a learning curve, and the business has held up. Actually, I think in this environment, there's more interest in purpose-driven businesses, and I really think that that's why we're seeing so much activity. I'm surprised. I'm pleased. I'm thrilled, actually, that companies are really focused on purpose and values and doing the right thing. That's a good thing.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's definitely the positive way it could go as opposed to otherwise.
Oh, well, yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's not like I don't feel threatened from time to time. The business, of course, has its ups and downs, like every small business. Um, and at the same time, seems to me that this is just a wonderful opportunity for all of us because we've known for a long time that businesses needed to transform. So take this opportunity to do it. That's the way I look at it anyway.
Right, yeah.
And yeah, it's so good to hear that, like you're hearing that and seeing that in the business landscape, because like Alex was referring to, we don't know what way the pendulum will swing, right? We're seeing the of businesses that are doing purpose-driven business and doing so well, getting a lot of community affirmation and just being a better, more sustainable business. But we also hear the opposite of, I'm a struggling small business. This feels like an extracurricular activity. So Kathy, what would you say to a business like that?
What, that it's an extracurricular activity?
Right, or like, I'm struggling to like keep the lights on. Why should I be going above and beyond for my community and environment?
It's not, in my opinion, it's not above and beyond. I mean, there's all kinds of evidence out there that the purpose-driven businesses are doing better in this crisis than the ones who aren't. I'm not surprised. I mean, we've been seeing that trend for a long time. It's just that the crisis is really bringing it out. And what I'm seeing is businesses really step up and do what I'm going to call lean into their values and lean into their purpose in a way that's just remarkable. Big businesses, medium-sized businesses, and it's not that we're all threatened. I mean, little businesses are trying to keep the lights on. I understand that. I've been there, I've had that problem, but the way that I've dealt with it, and it's worked for my business, is to really focus on what matters. And what matters is to live our values and to do what we can to bring our purpose alive. And as we do that, we tend to attract more interest from customers. So I don't think it's an extracurricular. I think it should be central for all of our businesses. And I really believe that the research is showing that that's working for companies.
Yeah, and I think Canopy would definitely agree with you that it needs to be more embedded rather than, an extracurricular or going above and beyond, or there's probably 10 million other ways to say it. Just doing anything extra as opposed to it really just being a part of the business model.
Well, and if we think about our businesses, our role in society, we all have something to offer to society. And this is the time when, I mean, the needs are on steroids. So we all should be focused on what we can offer to society right now. And to me, like you said, it's embedded. You know that my interest is in organizational culture. It should be part of the culture. It should be the first thing that we think about, not the last thing that we think about. And if we do really lean into it, we'll keep our lights on. I really, truly believe that.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely agree with you. So you mentioned earlier a little bit about your business. How about you tell everyone who's watching right now a little bit about Miller Consultants?
Well, we've been around for a very long time, 30 plus years, close to 40 years now. And what we do is we help companies of all sizes, big, medium, small, take their purpose and incorporate it into their culture. And our focus is on helping companies create connections between their systems, their people, and their purpose. So we'll do things like we'll audit the systems to see if the systems are consistent with what the companies are saying they stand for. We'll help them figure out how to connect every employee's work to that purpose. We'll help them think through what meaningful work looks like in their culture. And then we also do work with companies on corporate activism. Recently, we've done a lot of work with companies on corporate activism. And by that, I'm talking about activism in the political arena and the social arena. That is taking stands on issues that they really believe in and that really make a difference to their employees and to their other stakeholders. So it's great. It's great work. I love it.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And Kathy, what ways have you guys had to pivot or new initiatives that you've had to launch that have really spoken for showing up for the community or the environment?
Well, I'm not sure it's a pivot as much as it is emphasizing more certain aspects of what we do, because what we do, we were already on a trend in terms of helping leaders figure out what transformation looks like in their companies. But now the need is so great. And so one of the things that I personally have been doing, and my team as well, we've been offering a lot of coaching without fees. We don't, this is not the time to be charging people for this kind of work. We want to help. And so I've had a lot of leaders reach out to me, especially small business leaders, saying, you know, we don't really know. We know we're in a transformational moment. They may not use those words, but we know that things are changing. We know we have to adjust, but this is not something that we've done before. Help me figure out how to do that. So transformational leadership has been really critical to our business for many, many years. And so we really do know what it takes. And so we're doing a lot of coaching, and we're putting out a lot of tools, articles to help people figure out how to identify what power they have now, what personal power they have, what organizational power they have, and how to make that work for them in a way that will help them survive and also make a contribution to their communities. It's been enormously gratifying work. It really has.
That's great. So you touched on it a little bit, but what are some of the specific opportunities, either for your business or for the businesses that you're working with right now, in this crisis, or maybe even just in 2020? What do you foresee are the opportunities?
Well, I can talk about the opportunities for our business, and I think that every business can figure this out. Every business is unique. That's one of the things we do, is we help companies figure this out. We help these leaders that we're coaching figure out what they can do. But I can tell you what I think we can do, and that is we understand that we're not going to be in this crisis forever. But we do also understand that survival is a real issue for companies, ours and every other small business especially, but also large business. So what does survival mean, and how do we have the conversations with the right people? And by the right people, I'm talking about employees, I'm talking about customers. What should those conversations look like? How can we facilitate those conversations so that we can do, and I'm going to use a little jargon here, I'd be glad to define it if you'd like me to, but so that we can actually co-create the future. Instead of business leaders sitting back and saying, all right, what should I do for my customers now? It's all about the conversation with those customers and the conversation with employees and tapping the different perspectives and the expertise to create something better that any one of us could do individually. And so the opportunity for my business is to help with that, is to help set up those conversations, to help facilitate those conversations. And I feel really excited about that because in my opinion, this is the way we always should be doing things. But right now, to survive both in the crisis and as we think about coming out of the crisis, we have to do it. No one leader has the answers. We have to tap our stakeholders. And I've got clients that are calling, asking for help with this. We're not charging them for it. We're just helping. And what they're saying is, some of them are saying we've had to furlough people, we've had to lay people off, the morale is really low among the rest of our people. How do we think about survival? And that's all about culture. That's all about knowing what to do when a culture is in crisis. And we're glad to help with that. It's an opportunity for the future, but right now, we're just glad to give it away.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's so uplifting to hear you say words like transformative or co-create. I think it's a whole different spin on kind of the gloomy months that we've been living in, right?
Yeah.
And adjusting and struggling and surviving, but knowing that we can come out of this much stronger.
Right.
I think it's a perspective we all want to hear and we want to lean into. So thank you for doing that incredible work.
Well, it's all about resilience, and it's all about understanding how we can personally become stronger and more resilient, and how we can carry that over to our company. This is a tremendous learning opportunity for leaders. This is a time to reflect. What's working? What's not working? What did I expect that didn't happen? How can I carry what the positives from this into the future? And I don't want to downplay the pain, because there's some people in real pain right now, and I absolutely don't want to downplay the significance of that. And at the same time, I don't want us, any of us, to get to that point where we have no hope, because I don't think we need to be in that place. I believe we've got opportunities to make the world a much better place and to make the workplace work better as we work through this pain. So while appreciating, and I wouldn't ever in my coaching want to push anybody to a breaking point. Some people are at breaking points right now, and they don't have the energy to do anything but fight the virus or take care of a family member. Those people probably cannot step back and look at the opportunities yet. They have to get through that pain first. But most of us really do have a chance to take a step back and think, this is not fun. We wouldn't have wished it on anybody. The world is not in good shape. But what do we see now that we can do to make the world better? And wonderful opportunities for us, I think.
Right. Definitely. So, since it seems like you have a very robust knowledge of what it is to be a good business, that's a term that we use at Canopy a lot. Your definition of a good business would be, or maybe what are some of those qualities?
Well, to me, every business should be a good business,
Yeah.
and they're not all. To me, a good business is one that has a clear social to its profit motive. I mean, I'm not against profit. I'm not a nonprofit organization myself, but to have a social mission and to have values that truly come alive. It's one thing to state values and put these value signs up all over your company or talk about the values. It's another thing to dig in and figure out, what do they mean on a day-to-day basis? What do they mean for what we choose to do and what we choose not to do? What do they mean in terms of our responsibilities in a crisis? And you know, I've seen some businesses, interestingly enough, step up that I would have never predicted would step up. So it's not always the businesses that are the most out front talking about their purpose, that are actually doing the right thing. So for me, it's about action. It's about living what you're talking about, not just spinning what you're talking about.
I love that. Yeah, definitely a part of the CCP is we pretty much, make the people who are going through the program to create either a social or an environmental mission. And the reason why we did that is because we realize how important it is, just to be able to have that as like the foundation of your company for all the good that you can build off of it. And it really keeps all of your philanthropic gifts or volunteer work, like it gives it a topic to circle around, and it really just makes you more true to your own business rather than placing all of this good in a lot of different places, which is also great, but just having that focus is really good too, I think.
Yeah, and more than just philanthropy, and I'm very much a supporter of philanthropy, so I don't want to be misunderstood here, but to me, it's more than just philanthropy. It's about the core of who you are as a leader and who you are as a business. And really, we all started our businesses for some reason other than to just make money. I would hope, or we wouldn't be in business. Everybody has something that they believe in, or they wouldn't have the passion to start the business in the first place. So for some businesses, what I've found is that they've just lost track of it. They've gotten so, especially the bigger businesses, they've just gotten so involved with their shareholders and I don't know, fighting regulations and all this stuff that we see that is not so good, that they've just lost track of why they exist in the first place. And so what I encourage every business to do of every size is think about that. Why do you exist in the first place? What are you giving? What is your value to your customers? And I don't mean what's your product or what's your service. I mean, what is your value to your customers? And if you can identify your value and then make what you do support that value or work within the context of that value that you offer, to me, that's what a good business is. And I don't see why every business can't do that. Every business should do that.
Yep. Agreed. I mean, you're preaching to the choir a little bit.
I know.
Yeah.
The good news is there's a bigger and bigger choir these days.
Yes, so true.
And that's really, really exciting to me, even in the middle of these gloomy times. And I mean, trust me, I'm so tired of my four walls and my just being with my dogs. We're all tired of it. But in spite of that fact, in spite of the gloom, wow, when I calm myself down and step back and look at what's going on, I'm thinking, this is wonderful in some ways, not in every way, but in some ways, this is really wonderful. It's made us take a time out. We've had to take a time out, and we needed to take a time out to take a look at how we're damaging society and damaging the environment. And why is that necessary? I think we're learning from some of the things that are going on right now. Maybe it's not necessary. Maybe we don't need to drive to work every day and pollute. And, we are learning some things. I just hope we don't forget when we come out of it.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it sounds like most of the conversations Alex and I have on the phone is how do we take all of these lessons we're learning and we're thrown back out here, keep some of that stuff. But I love the layout that you had of why am I in business? What are my values? Because I think it really speaks to authenticity. So we talk about it at Canopy all the time. It's one of our values. And I think on the other side, yes, great for businesses, super important. One would say imperative, right? But consumers and your future employees and community, we really put a magnifying glass to say are you not just talking the talk, but walking the walk? So I really appreciate that.
Right. And we have more opportunity to walk the walk now than we've ever had. I mean, the needs are so great. The needs are so in our face that, and to watch some brands really step up. I mean, brands that I would have never predicted would do what they're doing. They're changing their production. They're changing how they use their capabilities and they're turning almost on a dime to do it. And, and some of these are big businesses. If big businesses can do it, then we can do it as small businesses because we're more flexible in the first place. So getting down in the dumps is not the answer. I mean, taking time out to grieve over what we've lost. I don't get to see my kids. I don't get to see my friends. We've all lost something. Some of us have lost relatives to this disease.
Right.
These are awful things that we've lost. And taking time to grieve that is important. But then being resilient and saying, all right, now what? Now what do I do? What can I do moving forward? And that's the key to resilience, I think.
Yes. And just recognizing the opportunity that lies within what we're all experiencing right now, and how this truly could serve as a catalyst for a lot of different businesses to be able to maybe take the time to create a better policy around, I don't know, employee engagement or just any sort of like cultural policies. Because it's very likely that, whenever you're running a business every single day, you can just only concentrate on what's happening day to day. And you can really take a moment to take a strategic look at what's going on with your business and maybe see, okay, we want to continue on the trajectory that we are, but there are these small things that we could modify to be able to create a stronger business.
Absolutely. I have a podcast, as you know, and one of the guests on my next season for the podcast is from the Center for Creative Leadership. And he talked about in the episode, he talked about what he calls heat experiences. It's really very interesting. He said, in an environment that is volatile and uncertain, what we really can do is we can grow by leaps and bounds as leaders because we are in a heat experience. We don't know what to do exactly. The conditions keep changing. It's so volatile. He said, this is the perfect time for leaders to develop. But he said it has to be intentional. We have to take the time to reflect. And we have the time these days. Here we are, right? We can't go out to dinner. We can't go to concerts. What are we going to do? We have the time. So he says, and I'm trying to do this myself, at the end of every day, take 5 or 10 minutes to write down, what did I expect to do today? What did I really do today? What did I learn from the difference between what I expected and what I did? And what can I take forward from that learning? And he says, do that every day, take 5 or 10 minutes. He said, call a coach if you want to reflect and talk through it, or your peers if you want to do that. But then at the end of the week, look for the patterns. And then who knows how long we're going to be doing this, let's say another month. At the end of the month, look for the patterns. And over time, those learnings just start to jump out at us. And he says that's the best way, from their research and their experience over many, many years with CCL, that's the best way to be sure that you'll take lessons from the current crisis into the future and do something different as a result. I loved it. I thought it was a great idea.
Yeah. Really great.
Like sort of accountability partners.
Yeah, exactly. Right. And it does help to talk to people when you're reflecting. So reach out to your peers, reach out to those of us who are giving away our coaching services. It helps to have somebody to bounce things off of, especially when we're all feeling so isolated right now.
Definitely. So I heard you mention your podcast. How can listeners, and I'm even interested because I've heard a couple of episodes of it, but how can listeners access it?
I've got a link that I have sent to you that maybe you can provide. But you can go to, there it is. Yeah, you can go to our website, millerconsultants.com, and then you'll see a tab that's podcast on the website. That's probably the easiest way to get to it. It's also available on Apple and Podbean and all your favorite platforms. So you can find it on just about any platform. But if you want to look at the show notes, and what we do is we always provide with each episode, as you know, because we did an episode with Canopy, what we always do is provide links and sometimes worksheets and articles and things to support the podcast. So all of that's in the show notes on our website. And we had Scott on one time to talk about how he became a B corporation and what that journey was like. That was a great episode. And then we had an episode about Canopy and why Canopy and what Canopy's doing. And that too, that's one of the episodes that gets the most listeners, by the way. It's really terrific to see. You're still getting lots of listeners to that episode. So it's great. It's wonderful to see.
That's awesome.
And yeah, thank you so much, Kathy, for being such a good friend of Canopy. And I know Alex and I got a little shout out in your Forbes article, and that was the coolest thing that I talked about over Christmas break. I told everyone.
You know how many people read that article? 33,000 people read that article. 33,000. So it got the most reads of any article I've written, and I write all the time, as you know. So you two are famous.
I don't know, but we still appreciate you for mentioning or like getting our input about the articles.
Well, I really appreciate being connected to Canopy. Canopy is just a wonderful organization. We are so lucky to have all of you in Louisville, Kentucky. I can't tell you how much it means to me personally to be involved with your organization. I just love being involved with all of you. So, you know, I'm willing to do anything you need, any of the skills or the capabilities that I have or that my company has, we're willing to share with you in whatever way you need.
Well, thank you. That means a lot.
Good.
I'm sure our listeners by now have picked up that you are our go-to expert. So what other ways can people get connected to your work?
Well, I write lots of articles. I write an article just about every week. I am a regular contributor for Forbes, and you can go to Forbes.com. You can search on Kathy Miller Perkins and it'll pull up all my articles. There's a ton of them right now. So that's one way. And what I try to do with every article is I try to give tips and very specific things that people can not only think about, but that people can do. So I try really hard to make them practical. So that's another way to get connected with the business. You can always call us. We're always willing to talk, always. The number is 502-452-1751. Call anytime. The other thing is I am very responsive to email. I tend to be on email pretty much all the time, and text for that matter. So Kathy@MillerConsultants.com. And, you know, if you'd like to talk and you would rather email me rather than pick up the phone, that's fine. Send me an email and we'll come up with a Zoom conference. I'm doing a ton of Zoom coaching right now, and glad to do it because I've been around for a long time, as you know, and I've learned a lot of lessons, some the really hard way, and some from my own research. And I want to help. I want to share with people.
Definitely. Well, we want to also mention, is there a book that you've written?
Yeah, that's right. I forgot about that. Okay. Thank you. I forgot all about that. I did. It came out a few months ago. It's called Leadership and Purpose: How to Create a Sustainable Culture. The book is based on 10 years of research that I've been doing with some professors at the Harvard Business School and some other people from around the world, some other scholars from around the world. We've been studying businesses, the cultures of businesses that stand for something, the culture of businesses that are committed to doing good. And we have learned so much about those cultures. And so I decided I needed to put it together in a book before I lost track of some of the 10 years of research. So yeah, that book is available. And I do also, in that book, have worksheets at the end of every chapter. Again, I'm trying really hard, even though it is based on scholarly research solidly, I'm trying very hard and tried very hard in the book to make it practical. Because to me, there's no sense in having scholarly research if you can't use it for something. So that's my mission, is to make sure that anything we study, anything we do, is something that can be used by people. So thank you for mentioning that. I forgot all about it.
No problem. Well, thank you so much, Kathy. We loved having you on here, and it's just great to be able to still connect even whenever the world is crazy right now. So,
it is.
We'll be sure to link in both the YouTube and on Facebook your website, phone number, everything to be able to contact you. And yeah, just thanks again for being a friend of Canopy.
Anytime. I'll be a friend forever. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye. Well, thank you everyone for tuning in today. I think the two calls to action that we have, one of our main ones is the Charter for Good Business. So everyone is able to sign the Charter for Good Business. And basically it just talks about what the values of a good business are and shows that you want to be a part of a movement that is something so much larger than you may realize. So I think that's the main thing. And what's the other one?
I kind of feel like that was the only one, but thank you guys so much for giving for Kentucky Gives, and before that, Giving Tuesday. So again, we really appreciate the support, and it takes all of you guys to do your part to make society better.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, thanks for tuning in, guys.
See you later.